we're going to start our geometric shape value painting by looking at a value scale. On the top of the value scale, I'm going to be using pencil. On the bottom, I'm going to use a paint. So I'm going to start by writing my name. And I'm going to fill in my value scale. So with the pencil, it says I'm going to start with the lightest color, the lightest tint. And then I'm going to move on to a shade. All the way through. So I'm going to start by pressing. I like to hold my pencil like this, so I hold it nice and low when I do shading. I don't hold it nice and normal, otherwise I get really lots of lines. But this way I can do a nice light shading. As light as I possibly can is in that one. Great. Now I might want to go a little bit harder. Not very hard, still pretty light, just not as light as I can. Okay. I'm gonna go a little bit harder, making sure it looks different than the one before. Awesome. Sometimes you can see a speck underneath my paper, and that shows through, and that's fine. All right, medium dark. Pressing a little harder. Dark. It's not quite the hardest, but getting close. And now, literally as hard as I can color with my pencil. Now, this is a value scale that I'm not going to be too concerned if you have little spaces outside the lines or if you have extra white spots. That is not my concern for this. I want to see that you can go from white all the way to as black as your pencil can draw in about even steps. So maybe I need to make this a little bit darker, or maybe I want to take my eraser and lighten something up. That is okay if you think maybe these two, this one needs to be a little bit different than that one. All right, slowly getting from light to dark. Okay, none of these squares should look the exact same. Now, maybe you work on this first, or maybe you're gonna do your tape first. Oh, look, fun. You can always erase that. If you are waiting on tape, that's when I want you to be working on this value scale. Those who start with tape, we're gonna get a long piece of tape to start with. So I'm gonna find my end. I'm going to just extend it from one side to the other. I'm gonna lay it down gently, and then rub it down from one side to the other. Now I might have some extra. I don't really want to wrap this around, so instead I'm gonna take scissors and chop it off. Just don't chop your paper. It's okay if it sticks off a little bit on the end. And now I'm just gonna make some geometric shapes with some more pieces of tape. So I've got another piece of tape. This one's a little bit shorter, so I might start on my original piece of tape, lay it down gently, and then take it from that point and rub it over. That eliminates the kind of crinkledness that tape can easily do. Another piece like that. Now, one thing that I see frequently that I do not want to see is if tape gets crinkled, it's not the end of the world, but I would try to maybe like chop it off earlier. I got mine uncrinkled before I laid it down, so that's great. Now, sometimes people will do something like this. And you can see right there is a little triangle shape that does not have any tape on it. So I want to make sure I get that fully covered with tape. Now, sometimes that means getting a longer piece of tape. Sometimes that just means moving my tape to a different spot where it is long enough. Now it's good. Well, and you can see I didn't quite start from that side, so I got some wrinkles in there. All right, I'm just going to keep on adding pieces of tape until I think I've got enough to make an interesting design. that's looking pretty good. I have one more piece of tape, but I'm just gonna give it to my neighbor instead of use it because I really like how this is working. Now I want to make sure that I have enough spaces for all my different values. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I think. Sometimes hard to count them all. But 12 is definitely enough. Over here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I probably want to have more than 7 value options. Once you've got this all done, make sure, of course, we always have our name on the back. And now we get to paint. So while we're painting, I like to have a brush that's not super long. I'm actually not gonna start with white because my white value is gonna be where the tape was at. So I'm gonna start with my lightest tint. I'm just gonna take a tiny dot of purple and mix it in with my white. Because I'll be taking off the tape, I can paint on top of the tape. And my goal is to make this nice and flat. So I'm going over it so there's no clumps. Now, I've got 12 spaces, so I could probably do this in 2 spots if I wanted. I'm gonna pick another spot that is farther away from that. Now, for my next value, I'm going to add just a little bit more. Now, I'm going to rinse off my brush, wipe it on my paper towel, still dirty, rinse it some more, wipe it on the edge, wipe it on my paper towel, looks better. If you want to do another tint, I could, or I can do my straight up purple. I think maybe I do need another tint because just seems like this is quite a bit darker than that. So I'm gonna get quite a bit of purple and put it in here. Now, if you don't have as many sections as I do, I would not be doing 2 of each color. Because I made so many different sections, I can do 2 of each value. Now I'm gonna definitely rinse off my brush and I'm gonna just do straight up purple. Notice how I still don't have almost any paint on my metal. I'm gonna take a little tiny bit. If I got too much, I can just tap it off the edge. The smallest bit of black and add it with my purple. It's gonna give me a dark purple. And now I'm going to do even more black to my purple. You could do one of your sections or 2 of your sections straight up black. I think I'm just gonna stick with a dark, dark purple black because it is almost black anyway. Now, one thing that I should note is that if I think that is too dark, do not go in and add white to it. That's gonna make it more of like a tone where it's got gray added to it, and it's gonna make your color look kind of gray and less pure and bright. Put my brush away, letting it dry, and we'll come back in a little bit and see what it looks like. Now this is feeling drier. Yay! So I'm going to carefully take off the tape. Now if it starts ripping, just pause and try to like fix it. Don't keep pulling. But I'm gonna pull. Sometimes more than one will come off if they're overlapping. Alright, I'm gonna set all my tape in a little tape ball. Ooh, so you can see it's starting to rip there. I'm gonna pause. I can try to go at this side and see if it stops. Or I can just start from the other end, and that can usually fix it. So I paused over there because it was ripping. There we go. Just a little thing in the white area, hardly can tell. Now that looks pretty good. I like to often have my art signed in the front too, so if you want to take a Sharpie or a pen, sign yours in the bottom corner. And feel proud of how your value painting turned out.